On today's show,
we play What You Got when it comes to crazy stats, Nick's sanity, and what happens first, a Warriors loss or a Sixers win.
it is Throwback Thursday. We debate the modern-day white chocolate.
And get your brooms out. We got a meme team mess in aisle 3.
It's Thursday, November 19th. The starter starts now.
Good evening, Sweet World, and welcome to the starters. Whether you're listening to the podcast or catching us on NBA TV and/or Start YouTube, is what I was going to say. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jay Skeets, and alongside me, it's been a long week, as always, Tass Mellis.
How do you do?
To his right, it's the international man of mystery, Lee Ellis.
Friends.
Lele!
Lily, and last, certainly not least, back from the Bay, it's starters blog editor Trey Kirby.
Heyo!
Hey, yo! Trey, happy to have you back. I think I speak for everyone here at the big desk. You did a fantastic job. What's
Yeah,
wrong?
sure, thanks, man. Maybe you guys are happy, but I'm pretty heated over here. First of all, you did an in-sync show without the Joey Fatone of the starters.
Oh,
But
you
more
are the fat
importantly,
one.
we got to talk about Loafergate.
Yeah.
I got roasted on yesterday's show for wearing this beautiful pair of dress shoes. Are you kidding me? Check my tweets, bros. I was wearing sneakers all day yesterday. Interviewed Steph Curry in a pair of sneakers. I was posing on the court at Oracle Arena in a pair of sneakers. But yeah, I changed into this beautiful pair of brogues, not even loafers. You know why? Because I knew I was gonna end up on Getty Images, and I did. And I'm glad. I changed because look how good that guy looks. Ernie Johnson himself, a man who wears a bow tie to work every single day, said I looked dapper. And you can't argue with that, but nonetheless, I'm putting up a poll on our Twitter account @starters. Did I sell out? Go out there and vote if I sold out. I'm sure the answer will be yes. We can check in a bit later.
That was actually a really cool humble brag. I knew I was going to end up on Getty Images.
Yeah, you know, no
Well
big
done.
deal.
Well
you can
done.
search
It
it
was-
for all of eternity.
All
It was
right.
Hardwood Classics night in Oakland, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that's why I'm wearing these classic shoes.
Oh, and that blazer too. That was a hardwood.
You looked
classic.
great. You did a great job. All right, we got tons to get to
Haters.
on tonight's show. We got the meme team a little bit later. It's going to be tons of fun. But let's start with something, now that Trey's back, we can do it. It's simply called What You Got. We did it last week, and very simple. Trey presents us with two related topics, and we have to determine the better choice. The catch, of course, in this, there is a right answer, and only Trey knows it. Trey, what's the first one?
Absolutely right. First topic, Rajon Rondo has notched 4 triple-doubles in his past 6 games. Meanwhile, Paul George is on a streak of 8 games with 26 or more points. Pretty impressive, but I need to know who you guys are more impressed by, Rondo or Paul George. What you got?
I got Rajon Rondo.
You got Rondo?
Yeah. Listen, Paul George game is more impactful, but I'm taking Rondo because it's been far more entertaining. He's got Sacramento eating out of his hands, and not only does he get the triple doubles, he throws turnovers off people's faces
Yeah,
in the
he's
crowd.
wild.
Oh, just what you want.
The entire Kings organization is just in shambles at times, and that's why I just find it more entertaining. Paul George, again, the numbers, he's kicking butt. The superstar is back. I think they're sort of flying under the radar as a team, but I just love watching the Rajon Rondo show. George Karl has kind of got Rondo has him eating out of his hands, playing him 48 minutes a game. It's absurd, and the turnover, I just find that people think he's the greatest because the numbers are there. But it doesn't
be
really
fooled by
mean
those
much.
numbers, though,
Yeah,
Tass.
it does. Oh, I am not at all, Lee, at all. That's why it doesn't mean much whatsoever. They're not coming in victories. Yeah, they had a 3-game streak where they beat the lowly Nets. They had a Pistons team come in there in a long, long West Coast trip that they beat. And the Raptors game, the Raptors definitely should have won that game. I just find it entertaining. The whole package,
Wait,
the whole
do you
Rajon
agree with
Rondo
this?
package is very,
No.
very entertaining.
No, I don't agree with it because the numbers do look flashy, but they don't really help his team. They're actually better off when he's on the bench as well. That's why I'm going with Paul George, because what he's doing for his team is actually bolstering the Pacers and putting them in contention in the Eastern Conference. Right now, I've said before, we don't really know who the second best team is in the East. I think with Paul George healthy, the Pacers are as good as the Bulls, they're as good as the Atlanta Hawks, and he's returned already to that all-star level player he was before that horrific knee injury or leg injury. So I think Paul George is really playing really well right now, and the Pacers are looking great.
He looks great. I wonder if we've heard this before from some players. You know, Jordan, of course, early in his career when he had the injury with his leg, taking a year off and just getting to sit on the bench and sort of watch the actions. You wonder if it's impacted, especially when it comes to assists. His assists are at a career high. His rebounds are a career high. He's playing more power forward there. Split his minutes between small forward and power forward. points as well. I wonder if that helped him in a way.
Yeah, well,
not playing at all last year and getting to sit there and watch the game.
It does give you a different perspective because he's usually the star out there trying to create and trying to do everything. When he has to sit back and he cannot help his team on the floor, he has to figure out ways to how he can use his skills better. And also, when he sits, there's a huge difference in the Indiana Pacers production. So that's why I'm going to make
okay,
What's
we got-
definitely helped is that he's back at the small forward position. That's helped.
We
that's
got
for
one
sure.
Rondo, 2 Paul Georges. What's the correct answer?
The answer is Paul George.
Of course
Like
it
you're
is.
saying, he's coming back from an injury and he's dominating way more impressive than Rondo. No offense. Second topic. You guys remember Linsanity?
Yes.
Yeah, me too. So does everyone. But according to the New York Daily News, the hype surrounding Knicks rookie Kristaps Porzingis is now officially Zing-sanity.
Get out of here.
Since it's the Knicks, I gotta know which is more exciting, Linsanity or Zing-sanity? What you got?
Linsanity, easily. Porzingis is a number 4 pick. He's supposed to be good. Yes, people were booing him when he was drafted, but he's supposed to be a good player, and he's proving it. And he's been amazing. He's fun to watch. But Linsanity, do not forget how out of nowhere that came
Yes.
from. Jeremy Lin was waived by a couple teams, the Warriors and the Rockets. He played a ton in the D-League. And then suddenly he's starting for the Knicks because of injuries, and they go on a crazy win streak, some of it without Melo, who was also injured. He's outscoring Kobe like 38 to 34 in a game, hits a game-winning 3 against the Raps. By late February, LeBron and Dwayne Wade were arguing over who was going to guard him. That's a thing that happened. Linsanity by a mile in this one.
Yeah, and it's been documented. There's a great documentary called Linsanity. It's still hard to believe watching that documentary because, as you mentioned, he had played 55 minutes in the Knicks'
Right.
first 23 games. Then he comes on the scene. The Knicks are thinking about releasing him. We got an injury out. We're not playing that well. Well, let's flick him into a game. And he exploded all over the scene. I remember working, during that month, and he continuously hit game. There wasn't just one wave of insanity.
Yeah, no.
Then there was a second wave, where he destroyed the Raptors with that game winner. He just wouldn't stop. It was so fun to watch.
I'm really enjoying Porzingis sanity or whatever they're calling it.
Zing-sanity,
Zing
yeah.
sanity, yeah. But I have to go with Linsanity as well because it made the Knicks watchable and enjoyable for those couple of months when he was doing it. So I'm also on board with Linsanity.
Well, you guys are all 100% right. It's definitely Linsanity. Like you're saying, this was a global phenomenon. This wasn't just a sports story. This was like a worldwide story.
Yeah.
I saw a man eat a diploma because of Linsanity. It was pretty phenomenal stuff. Third topic.
Is that a pun? Phenomenal?
Phenomenal stuff. Yeah, totally on purpose. Anyways, it's been 3 weeks and the Warriors still haven't lost, and the 76ers still haven't won. Which is going to happen first, a Warriors loss or a 76ers win? What you got?
Wow.
The Sixers are going to lose first because the Golden State Warriors.
They've lost a lot already.
They have. They're going to win first. 'Cause
Yeah.
the Golden State Warriors aren't losing anytime soon. They're going to take care of business against the Clippers. No offense to the Toronto Raptors, but I think against the Raptors, they were looking forward to Thursday night against the Clippers. And that's why they didn't play all that well. I think they're going to get it together tonight, and they're going to continue rolling while the Sixers, not so much. The Warriors didn't look like themselves. They didn't look like the best version of themselves the other night against the Raps. But I think they will against the Clips, and they'll continue to roll. While the Sixers will squeak one out. They got a 5-game trip coming up, and they're getting away from home where nothing good is happening. Nothing good is happening anywhere, but I think they'll squeak one out, possibly in Charlotte on Friday. I think the Warriors, now they got bored. Listen, they got bored against the Raptors. It's hard not to get bored when all you do is win. You win by 15, you win by 20. I think they'll take care of the Clips.
They should have lost to the Nets too, really.
Yeah.
They
that
should
was
have.
the closest they
No
got. So
doubt.
they should have dropped one. I think that's going to happen as well because the Sixers to me just don't look like they're anywhere near getting a win. They're getting worse. They played okay against the Mavericks, but then they got
They
absolutely
can't
smoked.
hold on to the basketball.
But, yeah,
they are turning
No,
the
they're
ball over.
embarrassing.
They're turning the ball over nearly 1 out of every 5 possessions.
Yeah, 56
bad?
in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
alone.
56 turns. Yeah, I think the Dubs, I said this in Crossfire last week, I think they actually lose to the Clippers tonight. So I got to stick with that prediction because I've been on fire with the predictions, saying Kevin McHale was going to win Coach of the Year. Yeah, I
harder to
do
win
think the
as well.
Warriors will lose before the Sixers win because the Sixers are sort of just that bad. They really
That's
are.
honestly true. They're worse than they have been the last couple of years, which
And
is
last
something
year,
to
at
say.
least they played defense. This year, they're low in defense.
Yeah,
They're one of the worst
yeah.
teams defensively.
All right, so what's the answer to this one?
76ers are getting a win first. They got a winnable game coming up. December 1st, game 19. They play the Lakers at home. Plus, I think the Warriors are going 20-0 to start the season. Lock it in.
Wow.
Wow.
What says the guy
December
wearing
1st.
the Warriors jersey
Oh,
who just
jersey
got back
and
from
the
Oakland?
championship ring. No big deal.
Wow. All right, let's hear from you guys. Jump on Twitter, hashtag the starters. Which ones do you agree with? Do you agree with Trey's picks there and what you got? We got lots more still to come when we come back We'll dip Throwback Thursday into a little white chocolate. It'll be fun. You're watching The Starters. Back with The Starters, we'll get to hashtag TBT in a second, but first I'm told hashtag Loafergate is actually trending in like 45 different countries. Trey, what are the people saying about you wearing loafers and selling out?
We got some supportive tweets over here. Tim Hiley said, yeah, he did sell out, but that was one smart look, so I'm gonna say no. Hashtag good style, good sir.
Good stuff.
Not bad. Richard Anselmo says, Trey, you didn't sell out, you bought in. Must be the shoes. And Azar Asadi says, I need option 3. Yes, he was my hero, but damn if he doesn't look dapper. That being said, I am losing the poll right now, 60-40. I'm a sellout.
Okay, keep voting away. Hashtag Loafergate. There they are, the infamous loafers.
Dun, dun, dun.
It looks so ominous. All right, let's get to the hashtag TBT. It is Thursday. Today we are talking about white chocolate. Jason Williams just turned 40 years old. I believe it was yesterday. It was definitely this week. An unbelievable player, former NBA point guard, of course. Everyone knows him as White Chocolate. One of the best nicknames, I think, in NBA history. Selected 7th overall in the '98 NBA draft. Helped turn Sacramento into a playoff contender right away there in his rookie year. They had some success in the playoffs. His number 55 jersey, one of the top 5 highest selling jerseys at the time when he came into the league. So a bit of a phenomenon right away, especially because of the way he played. The stats don't blow you away.
Yeah.
Played nearly 800 regular season games, over 10 points per game, nearly 6 assists per game, a couple boards. Was not the greatest shooter, but it really doesn't matter. Yes, he picked up a title with the Heat in 06. We'll get to that in a second. But again, the stats don't really matter because this guy was just all about how he played. I mean, that must come to mind when you talk about Jason Williams. First things first, right?
He was about 15 years ahead of his game if you're talking about the Twitter GIFs and the Vine
my
era
God.
right now. He would just light up right now because all those fancy passes were so awesome to watch because they were accurate as well. I know he turned the ball over, but some of those passes, they just came out of nowhere. He was like a magician. And you just wanted to see him fool defenders where their head was on a swivel and they didn't know where the ball was and all of a sudden it was just in someone's hand and they'd go for a layup. Unfortunately, Ray for Friends couldn't finish that.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Ray finish that play.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned about his shooting there, Skeets. I just wish he was a better shooter because that did cost him in his career, especially in Sacramento there. In 2001,
He was
Bobby
so
Jackson.
smooth.
Yeah, Bobby Jackson came on it and played a lot of fourth quarters and they ended up trading him.
Who cares, man?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Who
that's
cares
not
about
what
his
it's
stats? Who cares about the Grizzlies? Who cares about the Heat? He played 208 games with the Kings, and that's really all he needs to be a legend, right? Look at this. Everybody remembers him as a King. He's one of the most exciting players of the early 2000s. It's crazy to think the Kings got better when he left, but who cares? Because look at all this. Every pass was a highlight, and every pass was one-handed. I don't think he ever threw a single chest pass into it.
Yeah, that's why Lee didn't like him. He would never win a very solid play. Yeah.
He's got a career as a globetrotter, I tell you. It'd be great.
For a guy who averaged 10.5 points, he's obviously the most impersonated player amongst, people our age or younger. If you could calculate that, he probably is. Everybody wanted to be like him and would just impersonate him.
Yeah.
Just those just the moves. That was just fun. I mean, we got pumped for, 2 minutes of that. We could watch that all day.
That thing on NBA.com, YouTube channel, is great. Just a flashback of his career, 2.5 minutes long. You can watch it over and over.
Oh, it's unbelievable. Look, okay, you don't want to talk about the Heat days, because the Grizzly years there between Sacramento and Miami, those were sort of forgotten years, I think, for him. But he played a key role.
Yeah, I don't mind talking about this Heat team.
in the
he got
06
some key starts in this run.
That's right. He played a ton of their games there in the playoffs. They went on to win the title. With Wade and Shaq, of course, as their juggernauts. But yeah, he had an impact.
This was grown-up Jason Williams. This was him grown up and doing what he had to do to be part of a championship winner. He just played his role very well.
Tough question. Is there a modern-day version of Jason Williams?
No.
He was one of a kind.
Yeah. I think we could talk about Ricky Rubio.
Yeah.
As far as the slickness goes, the boldness of the passes, sure, but Jason Williams was a little cockier.
Oh, yeah. Rubio is like
for sure.
such a subtle guy, and he just seems so nice. He wants you to change your face, be happy. Everything with Jason Williams, it seemed like he was trying to put you in a highlight and just sort of embarrass you by doing something that makes you look stupid. With Ricky, it's just more tricky. That's why he's pretty tricky Ricky.
But I think as well, the other thing is a lot of players have adapted bits and pieces of his game. Not everyone could make quite the flashy passes, but you see a lot of guys trying to do those tricky behind the back passes, bounce passes, which are okay. But, a lot of guys would have grown up watching him and then tried, as you say, Tass, to emulate him on the court.
Yeah, we're obviously going to pick point guards that are unbelievable passers. But you have to take into account guys that are also not great shooters. Ricky Rubio, not a great shooter. I would throw out a young Rondo as somewhat of a comparable guy to Jason Williams.
With the flash, yeah.
With the flash, of course, with the court vision, also not being a great shooter himself. But it is tough. You're right. He sort of was. J. Will was a bit of one-of-a-kind player.
Yeah, because maybe Rondo can't shoot, but Jason Williams liked to shoot. He liked to get his
Yeah,
shots off.
that's
He was
different.
taking threes. But the other thing with Rondo that's very Jason Williams about him is he was great at jump passes, and he would deliver the ball to guys, and you didn't really know how it was going to get there, but it ended up being there. I texted my buddy Nick DePaula, big-time Kings fan. He said the closest thing to Jason Williams nowadays is Jason Williams playing in the Pro-Am League
Yeah.
at age 40, still balling.
He still got it. Yeah, check out those highlights on YouTube. Balling at the age of 40. Happy birthday to Jason Williams. Let's hear from you guys, though. Maybe we're missing someone. Is there a modern-day version of Jason Williams? Is there someone we missed? Let us know. #the Stars. That's tough. All right, got to take a break. When we come back, we'll dance our way into a brand new edition of the Meme Team. You're watching The Starters. There's the King arriving deep inside the queue.
Nice
for
shirt.
tonight's first game on TNT doubleheader. It's the Bucks and the Cavs, followed by the Warriors and Clippers.
I bet he's wearing loafers.
Let's see. Oh, we couldn't see that. Couldn't see. All right, guys, it's Thursday. We like to scour the internet every Thursday to bring you the Meme Team, our favorite weird and wacky moments from the past 7 days. Task number 5.
It's all handshakes at number 5. Russell Westbrook, Cameron Payne got a crazy handshake. Oh, that's cool. Oh, there's more. Whoa,
yeah.
whoa. What is going
I
on?
like that.
Yeah, very
Something happening, and then some sort of explosion? I don't
Lee,
know.
can you learn that?
No, I can't.
No, I didn't. You can learn this one.
Yeah,
Or
this
it's
one's
Cody
fine,
Zeller.
yeah.
He's got a couple different handshakes for different teammates.
Yeah.
Sort of the bro handshake and then the formal
Oh, good.
handshake.
Yeah.
Let's see that again.
Keep it
We're
classy.
going bro, formal, bro,
Now,
bro.
I don't want to bring race into this, but these are white guy handshakes here.
Michael Jordan wanted to get in on a win for the Charlotte Hornets. Gives a couple butt pats to everybody coming through. Everybody gets a handshake, and if you're lucky, you get a head pat and a
Nice.
butt pat. Good
Which
for
would you
you.
prefer, Tassie?
Both. I want a header and a butter.
At number 4, Wednesday night, Bulls and Suns. We got a dancer in the desert.
I love the new Drake video.
Yeah, Lee, what's your quote about dancing?
90% of it is in your face.
She's
5% of it also in the clunky sweater you're wearing.
This guy on the left's got 100% of it recorded on his phone. That's
Is that
for sure.
Aaron
Yeah,
Rodgers?
we got to find that Graham.
That's a great move
Is it
by him.
clunky sweater or chunky sweater?
At number 3, poor Marcelo
Oh,
Huertas.
man.
Not again. No, not again. This is mean. Brandon Knight. Got him.
Oh,
no.
Of all people to
Back.
do it, it's
Yeah,
Brandon
yeah,
Knight,
He
right?
knows. He knows.
Yeah.
We got to show you this from last week. This
All right.
is painful. This is painful. He did not come here to the NBA for this.
At number 2, they say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Well, Wednesday night in Boston, Celtics big man Kelly Olynyk giving Dirk the one-legged fadeaway, couldn't get it to fall. Hilarious moment though. Everyone knew what was up. I mean, you'll see Olynyk here if you can read lips. I had to, he tells Dirk. Dirk laughs
so
it off.
good.
Great
It's like when
sport.
George Costanza got given the "It's not you, it's me" routine.
Oh, it's so good. Dirk, of course, asked about it after the game, said, that was cold-blooded. I was a little fortunate there. I said, don't give me my own move.
Good stuff.
And at number 1, Trevor Booker. Another trick shot from Trevor Booker. This time using the old broomstick.
Props needed.
Yeah, he couldn't get it with his hand, unfortunately. So he popped. First time doesn't work. Second time, off the shot clock and through. It's good.
Nice fist pump.
Yeah, he's so pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it. And if you remember, last year, the no-looker Booker was the shot of the year. Bang.
Oh, man.
Had to do it before the shot clock went off.
That's still good.
He was still shocked, obviously, because I don't think he planned it. Bang. Beautiful.
Got to bring back Horse. Get him in it.
He is the king of the trick shot. So
Yeah.
that was, I guess the one on top of was sort of, what do we call that? A ledgie, a
Oh,
pigeon.
that was a leggy.
Yeah. Not only do we have a ledgie last night,
We had a
the
wedgie.
We had a wedgie as well, number 6.
They're not stopping. Marcus Thornton, getting it off right before the buzzer now.
Nice.
Whoa!
It got wedged in after the buzzer. Does it count?
Yes, come
It's
on.
good.
Yeah.
It's good. We went to the video review.
We went to Joe
It
Bush.
was. It was.
It counts.
It counts. Yeah. It was let go right before the buzzer, right before the red light went off. So that's number 6 on the year. Thank you, Mark.
We needed that. We needed
Yeah, we
that.
did, yeah.
had been in a little bit of a lull there. All
Especially,
right.
yeah.
When we come back, Lily's very solid play of the night and a whole lot more. Stick around. You're watching the starters. Back to the starters, a look at last night's pick'em results. 3 of us had the Bulls. 3 of us were correct. The
Suns
only
should've
one,
won that one.
The only one going with the Suns last night, that was Lily. Gets it wrong. We are playing for something here with all these picks. The loser,
Not a fruitcake, I hope.
whoever's in the last place at the end of November will be doing something weird or strange on the show.
It's gonna be you, Skeets.
Or discussing. Yeah, I'm in trouble right now. I needed that win last night. I gained a game at least on Lee. Whoa! Tonight, I'm the only one taking the Clippers. Everyone else say the Warriors go to 13-0.
I just took the Warriors because the logo's nicer.
Yeah, TNT doubleheader. Already told you about it. Bucks and Cavs, 8 p.m. Eastern, followed by the Warriors and Clippers. Are we still waiting to find out whether Chris Paul's even playing in the second game?
Game time decision, supposedly.
JJ Redick and Chris Paul still game time decisions. I think Doc Rivers is just playing with us. Hopefully he is. All right, Lily, very solid play. Where are we going?
The Raptors were in Utah last night, and it's Kyle Lowry taking Luis Scola into the Kyle High Club with this beautiful bounce pass. Look at that. Beautiful finish from Scola, and that's what I call a very solid play.
Good
Where
stuff.
did he take him?
The Kyle High Club.
Okay.
Boo. Lee,
Yes.
we had a sign. This guy's not in an arena.
Well, he's in Vancouver. There's not even a team there anymore. RIP the Grizzlies. James, the real Wangaroo _8. Great sign. Great job. He's got Trey Kirby MVB, which I guess is his most valuable beard.
or bro. Could be bro.
It could be, bro. Tell us what
true.
it is, James. Great
All right.
sign, though. Thanks very much for sending it in.
So keep those signs coming. Hashtag the starters. Trey, we got the final results here with Loafergate. Are you a sellout or not?
Bad news, guys. 59% of people think, yes, I am a sellout, and I was there, hero. Sorry to let you down, but sometimes you just gotta wear laces.
All right.
You slipped those up.
here.
Oh, it's
Whoa.
I saw this clip online. George Bush, I think, was in it. All right, he's throwing shoes here. Guys, the Drop Podcast tomorrow morning. Catch it early in the morning. We got it on iTunes, got it on Google Play. It's up on the website talking about the last week of the NBA. Have some fun up there, so check it out.
Those weren't laced too tight though. You slipped those off pretty quick on fan night there.
I got a skinny foot. Thanks, Dad.
All right. Thanks for joining us. We will see you tomorrow. And remember, when writing, there's always room to improve. A lot. You can get better. You can get grammatically better.
Brace the night, people.